The 2023 general election has been described as quite competitive, with the presidential and the governorship elections representing a new phase in Nigeria's politics and democracy. For instance, each of the top 3 presidential candidates received the most votes in 12 states, a notable first in the nation's contemporary political era. The development analysts say is also a reflection of the consciousness and diversity of views that characterize the process, mirroring the varying wishes of voters. Understandably, many Nigerians and some of the political parties have expressed frustration about the manner in which the elections were conducted and the shortcomings of a technology that was used for the first time during the exercise. They are clearly within their rights to have such concerns, particularly as many had high expectations about the electoral process. There are well-established mechanisms in place too for the adjudication of disputes. Any candidate or party seeking to challenge the outcome of elections can pursue redress through these channels. It is, however, pertinent that all parties, candidates and supporters refrain from actions that promote violence or an use of inflammatory rhetorics. Legal residents are still overwhelmed by the avalanche of discord, some of which degenerated into ethnic and religious laws. On Panorama today, we will be examining ways of mending fences and living in harmony for the socio-economic development of Nigeria, particularly in the state. This is Panorama coming to you live from the Lagos Network Center of the Nigerian Television Authority. Do not forget that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at NTA.live and our verified social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. I am Adeola Komi Akere. Vice President Yemi Shibayo, in a lecture delivered at the African Leadership Center in King's College, London, reflects on the emerging global order and how Africa should renegotiate its position within the context. Africa can take full advantage of complexities and thrive, he says. State House correspondent Unified reports.
Reflect on the emerging global disorder and how Africa should renegotiate its position within the context. Vice President Shibad says Africa can occupy an elite position in the global shift, leveraging on its vast human and natural resources.
Africa can take full advantage of global complexities we see today and thrive in place on safety and disruption. The decisive factor will be emerging leadership committed to governance.
The Vice President commented on the various steps leaders in Africa are taking individually and collectively. Challenges, some of which include coups, responsiveness. Vice President Oshaju stresses the need for more backing from the international community, but the challenges get out of hand.
This time, the global community to the various types of terrorism, especially in the Sahel, as a common challenge. This is one area where the great powers and emerging powers can put aside their rivalries and work with the ECOWAS and the African Union on an initiative to stamp out terrorism in Africa, especially in the Sahel.
On climate change and efforts being taken to reduce carbon emission, the Vice President says Nigeria is not opposed to the decisions of the world body on this, but reiterates the greater effects this would have on African countries that are still battling with energy deficit if funding of gas production projects in Africa is withdrawn.
Today's lecture will enable reflections on Nigeria as an important regional leader in economic, political and social terms, and its place in a global context that is increasingly fragile.
I've learned so much, and I really want to go to Nigeria once and visit this beautiful country, and you have like there's so much great stuff to learn.
It was refreshing to see someone in a very senior leadership position of one of the leading economies in Africa put the view of everything that's happening in the world squarely within the context of an African and the role that an African has to play.
Well, the whole world is wrapped up in the cold hand of economic crunch. The focus is now on African countries, especially Nigeria, to play a leading role in saving the world. In London, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Some grief analysts say peace is essential in fostering economic development, especially in light of the fact a peace accord was signed by parties prior to the general elections. Taking the journal reports.
During elections, the polity is innovated with a variety of divergent viewpoints, from campaigns at primaries to the appearance of party bearers voting and the declaration of winners. The title of the 2023 general elections in 3 general elections in Nigeria was not different. Debates on opposing issues and ideologies were intense. Another issue was the use of hate speech and ethnic slurs by some candidates' supporters.
We should learn to love each other. We want a peaceful country.
The only thing that can bring us together is for the leaders to start preaching unity everywhere.
All these heated up the polity, creating tension. Long-time relationships were even destroyed. With the election process almost over in all states, life will definitely continue in spite of everything. Experts say mending fences at this point is priceless, as it has direct impact on every sector of the nation and beyond.
It's where there is peace that you can plan a way forward. So I believe the peace of Nigeria is really much important, very, very much right now.
Once there is no peace, the country will scatter. So the only thing that we need in this country is peace.
These respondents are calling on both winners and candidates who have lost, including those that intend to take legal actions, to collaborate and work together for the common good of society in order to promote the nation's socio-economic development. In Lagos, Hinginu, John Adams, NTA News.
Joining me live in the studio to further discuss the 2023 general election and importance of mending fences and living in harmony for socioeconomic development in Lagos State after the elections is a clergyman and public affairs analyst, Venerable Kiri Wakama. Good to have you join us on Panorama.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we have heard the elections are over and winners have been, declared in some states. So in a nutshell, how will you assess the elections in the states?
Well, it was open to everybody to see on TV, peacefully in some areas, but most areas experienced violence, and elections didn't hold in some of the places, especially during the gubernatorial elections, from what we saw on TV.
Okay, but the places elections then hold, have actually been rescheduled for, April 15. Now, moving forward, elections in the states, were fiercely contested for the first time in Nigeria. Many say they witnessed ethnic profiling and name-calling, intimidation, and, disturbances before and, of course, during the elections. How do we begin the healing process now the exercise is over?
First, we have a national orientation agency that should preach peace. We are one country. We didn't choose our races ourselves, our tribes ourselves. God knew what he was doing by making some Yoruba, some Hausa, some Igbos. So we should respect that. That's why he has kept us. But having come together now as a country, we should learn to live together. The National Orientation Agency should make it very clear and sound it very loud that we are one and the same people. Then the contestants themselves should stress to their followers that there's no need for violence. Why are you killing people? So you preach the message of peace.
Okay, and apart from the National Orientation Agency, as a clergyman, as a religious leader, what should be your role in, trying to mend fences at this time?
Well, in the churches we preach peace. We try to say there is no Jew, no Gentile in the Church of God. We are all one. So we should see ourselves as one. However, because we are human beings, we can't run away from the fact that we come from various places. So it's not exactly strange to see the Yoruba man fight the Igbo man and the Igbo man fight the Hausa man. But there are intermarriages. Can you imagine a house where the husband is Yoruba and the wife is Igbo and your people, my people? Yeah. It's unnecessary. So we should learn to live together.
Okay, and that will be also for the benefit of the socio-economic development of a nation?
Yes.
Okay. Now, going forward, what should be our approach, to subsequent elections in the country?
4 years is not too far. Before we know it, 4 years is here. And if we are not careful, it might just repeat itself. So if I have my way, there should be something like the Oputa panel that Obasanjo set up when he became president, and discuss the truths and fashion a way on how we're going to move forward after this. If not, it's going to be very difficult for us to accept each other, especially in circumstances like this.
Okay, for those of the candidates who were not happy with the outcome of the results, they have areas of adjudication that they can channel their grievances to. So what are you saying at this point in time to those who will be listening to the various petitions of this candidate and the candidates themselves?
Well, I am not a lawyer, but I am in Nigeria and a public affairs consultant, and I know that most Nigerians are dissatisfied with even our legal system. So the lawyers will have to show beyond reasonable doubt, like they say, that they will be fair to all. That they will be fair to all. Beyond justice, beyond the legality, there is a reality on ground, so they should be fair to all.
Okay. All right. Venerable, what are the take-homes from the just concluded, elections?
Take-home, number one, we have come to realize that we're not exactly one people.
And we must work to make sure we are one.
Work to make sure we are one people. The pastor should preach that. The government agency should preach that. Everybody should preach that we are one people. After all, we intermarry. We do business together. The Yoruba man will do the business with the Hausa man if he's comfortable with him. So we should begin to preach that we are one people and try to work together.
Okay. So finally, before I let you go, Venerable, advice to the generality of Nigerians at this time?
They want to hear from their leaders. The man who will carry the ballot box wants to hear from his leader that you don't have to carry ballot boxes. That if I'm popular, the people will vote for me. So the moment you're carrying ballot boxes, you're giving the impression that we're not certain of our popularity. So if I'm popular, if I'm doing well, the people will vote for me. So let them preach that, look, if you're my followers and you want to present me in good light, then please stay clear of violence, stay clear of the obstruction of elections. How would you feel if you're a governor and you won under these circumstances and you have to travel abroad and they show you these pictures? That doesn't put us in good light at all.
Okay, one begins to now wonder, with all the advocacy, the campaigns against political thuggery, we still saw pockets of it this election. What do you think is responsible for that?
The contestants themselves should be the ones to advocate this thing. They should come on air to keep announcing to people, to keep drumming into our ears that please no violence, no kind of boxes and all that. And then the military too should, I'm a clergyman, I cannot, everything has to be by the rule of law, but then disciplinary action should be taken to those who go against the law.
Definitely. There are those who have been apprehended, and Nigerians are, expecting that we will hear the outcome of the apprehension, that maybe they will be charged to court or sentenced for, going against the law.
We forget too soon we forget too soon. By June, July, nobody will remember that somebody was arrested. And I suppose some will even wonder why are they still keeping him. There are people who've done worse things. We forget too soon. And that's one thing that's the problem with us. We don't have a history. We don't have a heritage that we rely on. So we live by the day.
And do you think that is right for the development of Nigeria?
No, it's not right. That's where the government in power, the people in power, will have to really show that they are leaders.
By, could you explain further, please?
Today we hear of leaders like Abraham Lincoln, we hear of leaders like Kennedy, Margaret Thatcher, Wilson Churchill. They left legacies for their people. In our own case, we have abused our leaders because they really have not left much legacy for us. So the leaders should begin to think of, look, what do I leave for these people? We spent 400 billion on these elections. I hear it's about the most expensive election in the world. Can you imagine if everything had gone seamless?
Then everybody would have been very happy with that outcome.
Yes.
So spending that huge amount, does it amount to the altercations we're experiencing, particularly in Lagos State? So people are still aggrieved as we speak.
I don't know.
It's kind of hard for you, right?
Yes, hard for me.
So as Nigerians, you are saying we should live together as one. We shouldn't divide the politics. Politics should not be seen as a dividing apparatus for us. So now, how do we, do you think maybe we need a psychology or somebody? How do we, finally just have the mind to say, okay, let's move forward. It's for the good of the nation, not personal aggrandizement.
You see, the buck stops on the table of the chief executive. For the state, His Excellency the Governor. For the country, Mr. President. These people should preach peace.
Okay.
These people should preach non-violence. These people should tell us how we will get from point A to point B.
Thank you very much, Venerable Kiri Wakama, for your thoughts on Panorama. The ultimate message is preach peace, work together as one, because Nigeria will remain a united nation. You're still watching Panorama, reaching you live from the Lagos Network Center of the NTA. Let's take a short break. More news when we return. Thank you for staying with us. Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, is calling on the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, to give the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, more room to follow due process of reintroducing the old Naira notes back into the economy. The ministry made the plea while mediating between the CBN and the NLC over the decision of the organized labor to embark on an industrial action this Wednesday over cash crunch. Joseph Otsen reports.
Nigerian Labour Congress had last week announced that it will commence on an indefinite nationwide industrial action on Wednesday, 29th March 2023, if the Apex Bank fails to make more cash available to citizens. Even as reports across the country indicate that the situation has improved, the union is yet to retract the threat. Hence, this interface between the delegation from the CBN, led by the governor, and NLC, led by the president, at the instance of the Minister of Labour and Employment.
Let us discuss and see what we can do, the way forward. A strike action is not the best. They know when the strike action occurs, the damages to the economy, especially if it's a national strike, we can't really quantify it.
Immediately, we got that second notice. We called the bankers to a meeting and we told them what should be done. And they have since that last week, Wednesday, you give that order on Wednesday, and from Thursday to Friday, even I told them everybody must work on Saturdays and Sundays. Let people have access to cash.
President of the Congress, Joseph Ajoru, acknowledges improvement in accessibility of cash at pay points. but emphasizes the situation must be stable.
They have cooperated. Yesterday or maybe Thursday, I was sending the governor complaints here and there, and he was, responding promptly at the state report. And discovered he was equally monitoring in Lagos and Abuja. So with that level of cooperation and working together for the interests of Nigerians, I think if we continue that way, things may change.
The NSC president calls on CBN to always carry all stakeholders along before taking critical decisions that bite hard on the public for better understanding and smooth implementations. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
Still on the money banks, despite the fact that most deposit money banks complied with the CBN directives for them to attend to customers over the weekend, some business operators in Lagos have expressed divergent views regarding the availability of Naira notes and impact on their means of livelihood. Amaka Owo went round town to observe the situation and now reports.
The Apex Bank's directive for deposit money banks to extend operations to the weekend, some Lagosians say, has eased the difficulty people have in obtaining cash.
Did you receive money and how much is it paid?
5,000. As many you can, 5,000. But as many times you can pay, you can collect.
Esther Ibrahim is a cashier. She says many customers are now breathing a sigh of relief.
They are seeing cash. It's better than before.
Emmanuel Ayuba, others in the transportation business, and some of your passengers, however, disagree. They insist that from the observation, demand exceeds available cash.
Because we're still having some people that are coming to do transfer. Some people even come and say, they don't have cash, so you have to come. Yes, even today. Will I show you the alert?
Today, I took somebody to Ikeja. It is transfer that I do into my phone.
Expert speaks on the economic impact.
The people need to be reassured that depositing money in the bank is not going to be a problem, that going forward, when they get to the bank, they will be able to withdraw their money. It's also important to ensure that the CBN did not make pronouncement by words of mouth, but rather ensure that both the new and the old Naira notes is available in commercial banks.
Lagosians are calling for improved digital banking services to reduce the rate of failed online and mobile bank transactions, as their efficiency will go a long way in stopping the trend of unlawful sales of money by some unscrupulous people. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
And reports just reaching us says emergency responders are currently battling to put out a fire at Balogun Market. The fire started at about 9 a.m. Tuesday morning on the topmost floor of number 32 Balogun Street, one of the plaza that houses shops and stores where shoes are sold. Occupants are currently battling to rescue and evacuate their product from buildings. Details of this fire outbreak will be brought in subsequent bulletin. And it's time for us to take the latest sporting news with Gift Judge.
In football, Nigeria's men under-23 football side, the Olympic Eagles, will take on Guinea under-23 team in the 2023 under-23 Nations Cup second leg qualifiers Tuesday in Morocco. The first leg ended in a barren draw at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. The overall winner on aggregate will qualify for the Under-23 Cup of Nations to be hosted by Morocco later in the year. Still on the national team, reactions have trailed Super Eagles' 1-0 away victory over Guinea-Bissau in the second leg of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Following the victory, the Super Eagles are now top of Group A with 9 points after 4 matches, followed by Guinea-Bissau with 7 points. Sierra Leone stays third with 5 points, while Sao Tome and Principe occupy the baton.
We have good players. We have the best scorer now in Europe. Okay, we have fantastic guys for score. But didn't count the goals in this moment. But if we keep this away, this by our organization, not easy.
Talking grassroots tennis now, Nigeria may be on the way to ruling the world in the game of tennis with exceptional performance of its junior players at the 2023 Attract, Identify and Develop National Tennis Championship held in Lagos. In one of the finals, David Edwards of Lagos emerged champion with a 9-3 victory over Shegun Ogunshaki of Ekiti State. Some of the players from the championship have qualified to play at the Wimbledon and other international events.
We have a great, strong foundation for junior program, junior development. So it's a question of getting the transitions. We need transitions to the seniors.
In table tennis, over 400...
And that's Panorama for today. Thank you for being a part of it. To be a star, remember that all you need to do is join the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. I am Adeola Komiakere. Enjoy the rest of your day.